Today I'm going to be going over setting up an email server and 2 email clients. And I'm doing this in order to later in part 2 of this video configure a panel view plus 7 to send email alerts. So in order to do that, first we need to set up an email server and then we need to set up an email client. I'm also setting up a second email client just so that we can do some testing, see emails going back and forth, make sure everything's working before we add in trying to send the message from the panel view itself. So I'm using a free email server software called HMail Server. It's pretty good just for playing around with at home to test things out. I'm also using Microsoft Outlook as one of the email clients, and I'm using Mozilla Thunderbird as the other email client. So once you download HMail Server, and I'll include the link to that in the video description, you're going to want to open the HMail Server administrator. And after you do that, it's going to say, localhost, which is your computer, administrator, and you're going to connect to that. If you've never connected before, it's going to ask you to set up a password. So I've already logged on, so I've set a password before. So I'm now connected to the HMail Server administrator, and there's a few tabs over here that we'll go through to see how all this stuff has to be configured and set up in order to do this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add a domain. So in order to do that, you just right click on domains, hit add. So I made one called mechatronicschannel.com. You could make it basically whatever you want, and then you have several other tabs for different configurations and things you can set up. I haven't used any of those, but yeah, you can play around with that and see what you would like to set up. After you've created a domain, you're going to want to start creating email addresses. So I've created 2 email addresses. You do the same thing. You just do add, or go over here and hit add, and add an email address. I set one up as contactlogics@mechatronicschannel.com, and that's eventually going to be the email address that is assigned to the panel view. And I set up one as Michael@mechatronicschannel.com, and that's going to be what is actually receiving an email from the panel view. Other than that, you're going to want to come down to settings, and this is where most of the work is going to be done. So under protocols, under SMTP, you're going to want to go to delivery of email and set the local host name equal to the IP address of the computer that you're running the server on. And so I've done that. The POP3 and IMAP, you don't have to do anything with any of that. So then you're going to want to go to the Advanced tab, and there's a few things you need to do in here. The first one is set your IP ranges. So this is going to determine what IP addresses this server will actually receive and send emails from. So I set this IP address range up to basically contain every IP address on this subnet. So I have 192.168.1 all the way up to 192.168.1.254. So that will include everything. So as long as I have a 192.168.1 in my panel view, it should work. And I named that network, and I went over here and I unchecked all these boxes. These require SMTP authentications and anti-spam, antivirus, require SSL/TLS authentication. I'm not doing anything with security. This is all living on a small LAN, so there's not really any reason to do any of that for what I'm playing around with right now. The next step is to set up your TCP IP addresses and ports. So in order to do that, you're just going to want to come here and hit add, and all these IP addresses I put in, if I hit add, I can show you. You're going to pick whatever your protocol is and then put the IP address of your server and then the port number. So I'll just do SMTP 192.168.1.200, and that's going to be either port 25 or 587. Put none for your security and save. It'll say, do you want to restart HML server now? Hit yes. HML server has been restarted. So if you go here, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this since I already had it on there, and that'll be gone. Other than that, you're pretty much done with your server configuration. So then we need to go to our clients and log in and start testing and making sure everything works properly. So first I'm going to go to Outlook, and I will go to Tools and Account Settings. So I've already set this up, but I'll walk you through what I did to set it up. I put my name, I put the email address for this account. The POP3, I wasn't able to, select that. That's just what it uses. For incoming mail server, put the IP address. For outgoing mail server, I put the IP address. And then for username, I did michael@mechatronicschannel.com and the password that I set up when I originally made that account. And then you can even go to test account settings. It'll say completed and completed. Close. Next. Finish. You're pretty much done. And if you refresh your folders, you'll get that Microsoft Outlook test email. So I'll go ahead and delete that and that. So then this is my Thunderbird or Mozilla Thunderbird email client, and if I go to settings here, I can set up my account name and everything. So account name, I just put Compact Logics. For name, Compact Logics, put in my email address. That's what I set up on the server. Everything else down here, it's pretty much going to be left empty unless you feel the need to populate any of it. And then for server settings, for server name, just put the IP address 192.168.1.200 and the port number for POP, which is 110, and the username is oh, it wasn't showing up, but the whole thing's there. It's compactlogics@mechatronicschannel.com. Then you want to go down to the outgoing server and populate this. Server name, it's going to be the same, 192.168.1.200, and port 587. Username is compactlogics@mechatronicschannel.com. Okay. So we should be ready to try this out. I'll go to new email and I'll send it to compactlogics@mechatronicschannel.com, and I'll just do test. This is a test. Make sure all this looks right. Hit send. It left the outbox, so it looks like it's sent correctly. Refresh this folder, and I have my email. This is a test. So that works great. So I'm going to come down here, come over here and do write, and I'm going to send this to Michael@mechatronicschannel.com and test 2. this is a test, and hit send. And when I come over here and refresh this folder, you can see I have my test 2. This is a test. So all that seems to be working properly, and I think we're done. So the next step is going to be configuring the panel view to actually use this email server to send emails for alert purposes, and I'll be covering that in the next video.